What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another little video. So as some of you may know, I usually film the weekly updates on Thursdays and then upload them on Friday because they take a good amount of time to edit and whatnot. But I wanted to do another little video here on Friday today because there's a car that I didn't want to miss that was just revealed this morning. That is the 2018 Honda Accord. So it's all new for 2018 here, and there's some really exciting things about this new Accord that I usually wouldn't get excited about, you know, a mid-size sedan for. But here's the highlights. The first is that both the smaller engine and the larger engine, the top-of-the-line motor, will be available with a 6-speed manual transmission, which is awesome. Honda mentioned in their press release that a lot of people are saying for them to save the manuals, and they're including manuals in a lot of their vehicles here. And to have it in both trims of the Accord, or to even have it in the Accord at all, is a huge deal. So to have it in not only the base model, like a lot of other vehicles still may offer, to have it in the top-of-the-line model is awesome. So I mean, that hat off to Honda for that. That alone is awesome. On top of that, that new top-of-the-line motor, now they're getting rid of the V6, and that's a mixed bag. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But in replacement of that V6 is the new 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder from the Civic Type R. Now, it's detuned from the Civic Type R. That's the not-so-great news. But the fact that that motor is in there and it has the same potential as it does in the Civic Type R is very exciting. To have that with a manual in a more comfortable Accord that's, more luxurious than, hot hatches and the like. And for those that, want something a little more mature and grown up than the Civic Type R, here you go. It's only front-wheel drive, but that's fine, and additionally, the great thing about the new Accord sedan is that it's a hatchback. Even though it looks like a normal sedan, it actually has a hatch built in there, so you get additional versatility that you wouldn't get with the other sedan competitors, and it's just a very cool little hidden feature there. So awesome to have all that kind of stuff. The other not-so-great news, in addition to the V6 being killed, is that the Honda Accord Coupe is no more. I know that's a really niche favorite with a lot of you guys that really love the Accord Coupes, and I've reviewed 2 of them, and they are really good, especially with a manual transmission. They're fantastic. So it's sad that the Accord Coupe is dying off, but I mean, it's just hardly anyone buys coupes these days, and it's the way it goes. So, but at least it's mostly good news here with the awesome engine, the awesome manual transmissions available here for the sedan. It's really, really cool. So anyway, more on the Accord here. So it has very similar styling to the Civic, as you can see there, especially in the front, although it does have some clear, accurate influences there with those LED headlamps, which are optional, but they do look very good, even if they do look like an Acura. And so this whole Accord is longer, it's wider, lower, and it has that coupier styling, which helps integrate that hatch and also make it look a little more trendy, like a lot of these other cars are going towards these days. The whole wheelbase is 2.16 inches longer than before, which improves high-speed stability and also gives better rear seat legroom as well. So it's a win-win there. That interior, though, is a lot nicer. At least it looks like it's a lot nicer than the outgoing Accord, which wasn't a bad place to be anyway. But a lot of the same improvements you see with the Civic and whatnot, but even more so here. I mean, these things, you can get them pretty fully loaded. You're going to be able to get heated and cooled front seats. You're going to have an option for a heated rear seat now, which is really cool as well. The seats themselves actually have better bolstering, which is pretty cool. And they say even the armrests are more heavily padded, which is something I always appreciate when I do reviews. Also on the inside there, it has an 8-inch infotainment screen. I don't think that's standard, but it is obviously available there. And it actually does have a volume and tuning knob. So Honda's getting back to volume knobs, thankfully, and a tune knob, which is really good news instead of that little slider thing they've had for the past few years. So that's a big deal as well. Lots of really big things here for the Accord. Other things, it has Apple Carplay and Android Auto like other modern Honda infotainment systems, which is also really great and something that, for example, the Camry does not have. So a nice little edge there. You can get them with 4G LTE Wi-Fi, so they get over-the-air updates and obviously the internet connection. Then there's even a heads-up display that's 6 inches large as well that you can get, and that'll show a speedometer, tachometer, navigation as well. So all very cool stuff there. Now about these engines, that's a pretty cool thing. So the first engine is going to be the familiar 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that replaces the 2.4 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder they used to have as the base motor. So that 1.5 liter makes a little more power than it does in some of the other applications for the Civic and whatnot. In this application, it does 192 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque, and you can get that with the CVT. That's what's the standard transmission, but you can also get that with the 6-speed manual there in that base motor. So that's really cool. Then there's also a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. That's the one out of the Civic Type R, although it has been detuned. And unfortunately, so the outgoing V6 does 278 horsepower, and I was expecting it to probably at least match that and maybe have better torque. But it doesn't match it. Unfortunately, that's the only downside here as far as all this news goes, really, is that it goes not only has 252 horsepower instead of 278, but the torque is greatly improved. So that's gone from 252 pound-feet of torque with the old V6 to now 273, which means it should feel more powerful around town. They say that torque's available at like 1,500 RPM, so it's a good amount of punch down low there. So that's good. It also, that engine does have VTEC, and so you're going to be able to get that one with either a 10-speed automatic or, like I said, that awesome 6-speed manual, which is very cool. Now, the way Honda does trims and stuff, I'm really hoping the manual isn't relegated to only the sport trim line, which is usually one of the lesser equipped ones. Hopefully, you'll still be able to get it with the nicer infotainment and all that kind of stuff and aren't put in some penalty box interior because you're getting the manual transmission. Because I know, like the Honda Civic Sport hatchback, it's awesome. You can get it with the manual and the sport trim with the little bit of additional power, but you can't get the nicer radio and stuff. There's also a hybrid version for those that are interested in that, and so that is all new, the whole hybrid system, and uses the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder that's on the Atkinson cycle, but it's not turbocharged. I think it's actually naturally aspirated. Then there's a battery pack in the floor instead of it being in the trunk like previous versions, and so they say no trunk space is lost. You can still fold down the rear seats and all that, and it's just nicely integrated into the floor instead. So depending on which trim Accord you get, they actually are lighter as well now, which makes them for even better drivers than before. They use more high-strength steel and aluminum. So the weight has dropped anywhere from 110 pounds to 176 pounds, depending on, like I said, the trim. And they say the body rigidity is also improved here thanks to all that new high-strength steel. And so the last couple of things here are the technology. So they're going to have the whole Honda Sensing suite as standard. So that's going to include the emergency braking, lane departure warning, road departure mitigation, and adaptive cruise control with low speed follow. Rear view camera is also standard, which is great. Blind spot monitoring, front and rear parking sensors, and cross traffic alert are options. So you'll have to pay extra for those. But like I said, that's basically it. There's going to be several different trim levels since Honda doesn't really do options too much. It's mostly just like you get a different trim level, you get more equipment, and you don't tweak those trims, you just get that trim and that's it. So it's simplified but limiting at the same time. So but yeah, so there's gonna be all kinds of trims ranging from the standard LX trims all the way up to a touring trim and like 4 or 5 different trims in between. But I'm just really excited. They're bringing the manual back here for the most powerful Accord. It's more capable and versatile with the hatchback there, and it's gonna be pretty punchy here with that new motor as well. So all around good news. Let me know your thoughts though about the Accord sedan here in the comments below, and thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to watch the rest of the weekly update I posted today for all the other car news from this week. Thanks for watching. Take care.